The Sabbath.
Yeah, Apple. Yeah. And find out the dates. Make a book of them. I'm good. You know I like reading with you, right, McQuarrie?
We live.
You want some?
And let me know if you see that the live stream, if you follow us on the live stream, let us know if it's doing something funny.
What's up? Remember I was talking about that pen?
Yeah. Oh, light.
Yeah, I told you.
I know
Yeah,
you
I got one.
Yeah, I told you.
Well, you.
They sent me them.
They do?
Yeah, they sent me them. They want me to buy a whole bunch of them.
All right, so we back. Second Esdras,
Mm-hmm.
the 8th chapter.
Big chapter, right.
No.
To continue with Ezra's
Mm-hmm.
conversation with the angel of the Most High.
Right.
All right, so let's move on. See how many verses? And he answered me, saying, this is speaking about the multitude of people living, that the world was made for the multitude, but for the world to come, what's going to happen?
Right.
And he answered me, saying, the Most High have made this world for many,
Mm-hmm.
but the world to come for few. Many shall call, and few shall be chosen.
Okay. Okay.
So in the world to come.
You wrote the song, right.
So you see so many in this world, right?
Right.
A lot of people, all across,
Right.
four corners of this earth. You have so
Right.
many people.
Right.
But the world to come is going to be few. And this explains many shall call and few shall be chosen.
Okay.
Verse 2. I will tell thee a similitude, Esdras. So the angel said he's going to tell him,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to give him a story similar to this world, right? He said, as when thou askest the earth, as when thou askest the earth, it shall say unto thee that it giveth much, moon that whereof earthen vessels are made, but little dust that go cometh off. Even so is the course of this present world. So what do we understand from that? That's a parable. Oh, that's a parable. Anybody follow that parable? Can you tell what it says? Do you understand it? In verse 2? All right. I'll read it again. I will tell you a similitude or parable, Esdras, as when thou askest the earth. It shall, if you ask the earth, it shall say unto you, earthen vessels are made, but little dust that go cometh. Earthen vessels are made, but little dust. Because it says, earthen vessels are made, like the clay, the stuff that are made out of clay, right? Earthen vessels are made, but little dust that go cometh. What does that mean? What does that language say?
I know when the mining gold, there's a lot of, you gather a lot of dirt and stuff like that. You get a lot of stuff and then you sip it through and all of that stuff and then you get the gold from it. There's a lot of mining involved.
Yes. Some to that nature.
Yeah, that's all that is.
Some to that nature. So when you make earthen vessel, you'll get a little bit of dust, you put some water in it, and then you can create a pot, right? But when you looking for gold, you put the earth inside and you sieve it. You don't even need to use a lot of earth or very little, very little dirt, but you got much gold from it. So is the world that has to come. Few are called, many are called, few are chosen. From a lot of dust, you sift it through, you get a little bit of gold. Right? You got to go through a lot of digging, put a lot of dirt in the instrument you use to sift out the dirt. But after you sift out all the dirt that you put in, you get only few gold. It's just exactly the same. Many people are called, but out of that many people, only few shall be chosen. Okay? But little does that go cometh. Even so is the cost of this present world. So that's the cost of this present world. So many people are going to come in the truth. So many going to come in the truth, but only very few, right? Very few shall remain. Plain example, look at this one, right? Only few of us here. So many people out there in the world. Why only few of us is here? It's because only few will be chosen. When you go out there in the churches, you see a lot of people, they claim they serve in the Most High. But the true one that the Most High will serve is those that he sees through, that he sees that really honestly following him to the best of their ability. Out of that multitude, only few will be chosen. Okay.
Everybody running the race.
Jeremiah 3:14.
Jeremiah.
Oh, yeah.
You got it? Jeremiah 3:14.
Oh, yeah, I'm on it.
That's 3:14. Jeremiah.
You got it,
I
right?
got it.
Come.
Right there. You go to Jeremiah 23:4 after that. There it is already written.
Jeremiah 3 and 14.
Mm-hmm.
It says,
Uh-huh.
got it?
Yeah.
Turn, O backsliding children, said the Lord, for I am married unto you, and I will take you one of a city
Mm-hmm.
and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you hear people read that, like somebody from where I'm about to be at later on today, come on, man, what chance I got? I think I got a big chance.
The same person that's saying what chance I got,
Mm-hmm.
ask them if they play the lottery. Ask them if they play the lotto. And the lotto only one people or one or two people will win. But then a few people that is gonna make it into the kingdom, it's not just one people.
Right?
But they still play the lottery. Why? Because of the immediate thing that they think they can get money right out in it. So the same people that's saying that are the same people that play the lotto.
It's interesting. It's interesting that when we came out of Egypt, we all came out. None was left.
Mm-hmm.
But this time, well, we all are not gonna make it.
Oh, boy.
All right, so let's move on.
See, that's what turned a lot of people away from the Bible is, too.
No, it's not what turns people a lot away from the Bible.
No, I'm telling you.
You know what turns them away from the Bible? They turn themselves to their sin from the Bible. Because the Bible itself is just words. So the Bible don't turn people away.
Mm-hmm.
People turn themselves away from the Bible.
Like we were just talking in the last verse in chapter 7. Why go through all this right here, and then I got to come out and be punished for the rest of my life?
But what happened is Ezra.
He was talking about Adam.
But Ezra, that's what I'm saying. Asking honest question, right? With trusting the Most High, that's one thing. But asking question, doubting the Most High, that's another. If honestly we asking a question just to find answer, that's fine. But if we ask the question, but we don't trust the Most High because of our problem, and we don't trust the Most High, but we just being like, fixatious about our question, then that's another story. Ezra is asking the question because he loves his people. He wants to serve the Most High, right? And he don't want to go astray. He don't want to do anything outside of the Most High. Then he go and ask the Most High question. And that's why he humble himself, said, Lord, let me ask you this. If I find favor, if I find grace in your sight, let me ask this question. Let me ask that question. Right? So there's nothing wrong with reasoning, because that's why the Most High give us a mind.
Right.
As opposed to animals. Right? Animals act by instinct. We the only creature with reasoning capability. That's what separates us from animals. So we can ask questions. Right? So verse 3. There be many created. So the Most High said there will be many created, but few shall be saved.
Yeah.
There will be many created, few shall be saved. So answered I and said, swallow them down. Oh, my soul, understanding in what? In devout wisdom. Right? And then drink your fill of understanding. And drink wisdom, oh my heart. So that's what he said. So his understanding, he was asking for understanding, for his mind to pretty much absorb all these things that he's getting.
Okay.
Right? Because that's too much for him, he feels. Verse 5. For thou hast agreed to give ear and art willing to prophecy. For thou hast no longer space than only to live. Right?
Mhm.
What are we saying here?
Listen to the word of God.
He tells his understanding, speaking to himself.
Uh,
Grasp that grasp that understanding, because you have come into this world not of the will of your own. Because get as much wisdom as you can while you live, because you have but a short time. As you live, get as much understanding and wisdom as you can possibly get.
If it was a survey question, if you wanted to start all back over in life, would you want to be born or just stay where you was at? I wonder what people would say. Probably be nobody on this earth.
That's why that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
But what happened is,
I swear to God, our brother, that ain't not, no, don't put me out there.
that's why he said that. That's why he said, "Ah, man." In his mind, he wished that he was not born, but since he's here to listen to all the wisdom,
right.
he said, "Oh my." He said, "Please get all the understanding that you give. Give your ear to wisdom, right? Because you have a short time, right? You have a short time. Get as much as you can here, right now, right? So that's pretty much what he's in. So Esdras was in the same spot that a lot of our people, a lot of us in. Want to reason with the Most High, right? So let's get verse 6 now. You see where it says, for thou hast no longer space than only to live. See the language here?
Yeah.
Time is nothing but dispersation of space. Time and space, right? Time is getting from this place to that place. So time can be explained as space. Okay? Timeline can be explained as space. That's why it says right here, no longer space, meaning no longer time. All right, no longer time. It's, for example, if you're gonna go to New York, we measure it in miles, right? It's closing the gap between where you started to get to the place you're gonna end up. That's the space, right? That's the time. So it's like we have a small time for it to live. There's no longer space, meaning you don't have a long time to live. Okay? Understand, right? Everybody understand that part, right? Space and the space is synonymous to time, right? To live. Verse 6. O Lord, if thou suffer not thy servant, that we may pray before thee, and thou give us seed unto our heart and culture to our understanding, that there may come fruit of it, how shall each man live that is corrupt, who beareth the space of a man? Those are heavy things, heavy statement that he's making, right? Heavy statement that he's making right here. Okay? So it says, "Oh Lord, above us," right? It says above us to grant to your servant, right? That's Esdras asking to grant to his servant, right? We all with me, right? We follow on that's the scripture right here in Esdras.
Yeah.
What he's saying.
Yeah.
So what is it saying? Mm-hmm. Pretty much, let's read it again. It says, "Oh Lord, if thou suffered not thy servant." So he's praying to the Most High to give them the opportunity, right?
Right.
To everybody that willing and pray to listen to the Most High, to give them the seed of understanding. So when they listen, they can apply what they read,
Right.
so that they can become fruitful. Right? So that they can become fruitful. So and they don't live as a corrupt person.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's pretty much what he's saying here in verse 6.
6. Okay.
So that they may be able to live and not die.
Right.
And which is the promise that we've been given.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is heavy information that he's getting. But unless someone is patient and pray for understanding,
Mm-hmm.
they will have a hard time digest this information.
Right.
So that's why he's praying for those, right, who have the heart to follow God, to be able to get that information and process it, and they become fruitful and not find themselves dying at the end.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's the key to this verse right here. Now let's go to verse 7.
Mm-hmm.
It says, "For thou art alone, and we are one workmanship of thine hands, like as thou hast said." It said, you know what? In verse 7,
Mm-hmm.
you yourself, there's no one above you, right? There's no one above God,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's no one above God. No one exists outside of the Most High.
Right. Right.
Everybody is in the Most High's hand.
Right.
We pretty much his tools.
Like you said, you got the whole world in his hands.
Right. So we are his tools,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we are his workmanship. It's just like, for example, somebody will create art. They can get a piece of wood, and then they can make a statue, or they can make a nice little decoration with that piece of wood. They design it,
Mm-hmm.
right, the way he see fit or the way she see fit.
Mm-hmm.
So all that designing, the wood cannot talk back to whoever's designing it.
Right.
So are we in relation to God,
Right.
right? The only thing that makes us special is the fact that we can reason, we can ask God questions, right? But the object that is created cannot question beyond, his capability, the person that create the object.
Mm-hmm.
So we are the Most High's creation.
Mm-hmm.
As the Most High's creation, he knows everything about us. He designed us the way he designed us.
Right.
Yes, we can have some question, right? Based on sincerity, you can sincerely ask him question, but
Right.
not in a sense of doubting him, because he created us. He knows how he created.
So
he knows every ins and out of you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Of us. So therefore, Ezra right here is acknowledged that we are his workmanship. We are the tools that the Most High used for his own pleasure, because he knows what he's doing,
Right.
right? Outside of us, thinking that we know, what the Most High is doing, or we can tell the mind of God.
Can't
Okay.
tell him.
I was going to read this quickly. Jeremiah 18.
Done. Uh-huh.
Jeremiah 18.
Yes, it is. It's a little lengthy.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna read it.
18 what?
Jeremiah chapter 18. Jeremiah chapter 18, verse 1.
Okay.
Can I read it? Jeremiah 18 and 1. The word which came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, Arise and go down to the potter's house, and here I will cause thee to hear my words. Then I went down to the potter's house, and behold, he wrought a work on the wheel. And the vessel that he made of clay was marred in the hand of the potter. So he made it again another vessel, as seemed good to the potter to make it. Then the word of the Lord came to me, saying, O house of Israel, cannot I do with you as this potter? Said the Lord. Behold, as the clay is in the potter's hand, so are ye in mine hand, O house of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in the Most High's hand, and he's working.
Mm-hmm.
He's working us like in the potter and the potter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the potter and the clay.
Fine. So now, in the verse that follows is gonna explain to us the process of how we, you, me, is here. The process of how we got here, right? Let's go to verse 8. It says, for when the body is fashioned now in the mother's womb. Think about a baby in the mother's womb, right? It's fashioned, meaning design. The baby is being designed in the mother's womb.
Right.
Okay. It says, and thou giveth its members. So you give it arms, you give it head, you give it legs, right? You develop that baby in the mother's womb, right?
Right.
And it says, thy creature is preserved in the fire and water, right? He says, the baby that is formed, it's protected, and the creature is protected in fire and water.
Right.
Right? And who's doing all that protection? The Most High is doing it, right?
Right.
It says, in 9 months do thy workmanship endure. So the baby in the mother's womb for 9 months, right? The work of bringing the baby being designed in the womb takes 9 months to complete, right?
Right.
It says, in 9 months, do thy workmanship endure thy creature, which is created in her, which is created in the mother's womb.
Right.
Right? Verse 9. But that which keepeth in it kept shall both be preserved.
Right.
And when the time cometh, the womb preserves delivereth of the things that grew in it. It said through all that time, the Most High has it where the mother, the what they call the bag inside the mother, the sac, right? Preserve the baby until the time the baby come to be delivered. Right. All that is done by precise and by intelligent design. Right. This is precisely and perfectly designed in the mother's womb. Right. Preserve the mother and the baby at the same time. Right. It says in verse 10, for thou hast commanded out of the part of the body, that is to say, out of the breast, milk to be given, which is the fruit of the breast. So now in the same time, in that same body of that woman, you prepare the body so when the baby come, the baby can find milk in that same body.
Find nourishment.
Nourishment in that same body. All that is a design of the Most High. So anyone tell me that we got here by Big Bang, who can design this if we got here by Big Bang theory? This is designed by an intelligence, and that intelligence is God. Right?
He preserved us to come to it.
To come to it. And the way the mechanics and the engineering that involved into design that person that becomes you today. right? That person that become me today, right? Sitting here talking, you started just a little tiny gelatin, right? After time, we populate the whole earth, walking around. Design intelligence, right? So that's all that evidence show us that God exists.
Right.
Okay? God showed that he exists through evidence of how he made creation. We are his evidence, right?
We the proof.
Cause and effect, right?
Right.
Cause and effect. The Most High is the cause, us is the effect.
Right.
Okay? Verse 11. That the things which is fashioned may be nourished for a time. So the baby that is fashioned, when he comes out, the Most High makes sure that the body is prepared to give off milk for that baby, right? Till that dispose of it. Till that disposeth it to thy mercy. After a while, no more milk.
Right.
Right? The Most High made sure that the milk go for a time and then stop. He decide when for it to stop. The clock ticking, and he put it in his design when it's gonna stop. You're gonna be fed baby milk for a time, and then boom, it's done. That process is done. Then you move on to big food.
I was breastfed.
Right.
That's
Right?
what I like.
That's it.
Like kitty.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you say it. You're younger than me. Yeah.
Okay, verse 12.
Well,
Thy brothers is up with thy righteousness.